Hello and welcome to another edition of Archeryshack Shop Talk. I'm Jeremy.
I'm TJ.
We're back again. Players. We heard y'all been watching. We've talked to people from Canada, Australia, South Carolina.
And
appreciate y'all watching.
Everywhere in between.
Yeah, no joke. A lot of stuff going on today.
Man.
We had us a 3D shoot, and Lord, I don't even know what all happened. It's one of them whirlwind type of days. But before we get going and talk about that, we're going to do our little product spotlight of the week. And this week we chose the Black Eagle Outlaw arrows. They are our top selling arrow, or at least one of them. You get 6 of them for around about $48. 5,000 straightness. You can get them in all kind of different spines. You can get them crested and yellow, white, pink, not crested, yellow and red fletching come on them. We get Black Eagle. They're located in Georgia. But just a quick little spiel about them to get us started. It's a standard size arrow, 1964th arrow. Good solid arrow. We've sold over the past several years a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give you an idea, the 350 spine weighs 8.6 grains per inch. You can get them all the way down to a 600 spine at 6.8 grains per inch. And you can get them as heavy as a 300 spine at 9.1 grains per inch. So they're kind of in the middle of the weight variance. But a good solid arrow for a good price. If you're looking at some decent arrows, these are definitely something to look at. There's a lot of people making arrows now. And we picked up Black Eagle probably going on 5 years ago.
Yeah, we've been running them a while.
And been impressed. They got, we'll talk about other ones in other podcasts, but they got small diameter, large diameter, tournament stuff, hunting stuff. These also have a 2-grain weight tolerance per pack of them, and they come in a 32-inch. Of course, you're going to probably cut them down, but they come in a 32-inch model. We've also got them with feathers, so like the traditional people can shoot them, or if somebody were to want feathers, they could shoot them. But check out the Outlaw if you're in the market for some arrows that are affordable and tough. Can't go wrong with that. I don't really have anything bad to say about them. They come with blazer vanes, and they look, I don't know if you can see that on that camera way up there, but they look pretty sharp. The Outlaw.
I know we did a video on them where we spun them, and they actually spin truer than the 5,000.
I think in one time we tried it, the whole couple packs, like 3,000ths was the worst, you know.
Yeah.
Not plus or minus, just 3,000ths. So
Mm-hmm.
I like the Outlaw. If you most people come in the shop that say, "Hey, I need a decent arrow, but I don't want to spend $200," we say Outlaw.
Real good hunting arrow, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I shot them a couple years ago, and I didn't have any problems out of them.
Mm-hmm. Good tough arrow. So check them out.
Yep.
I guess we'll jump right into some questions, and then at the end of the podcast, we'll chat about our 3D shoot today and some other stuff. But we had a lot of questions come in, so it might take us a minute to get them all covered.
Yep. First question comes from texter in the 812. What's your favorite length bow?
Me, man, if I had to choose a bow to do everything with, it'd be like a 35, 36 maybe. But, you know, for tournament stuff, I'm shooting a 39, and I've shot like 42 before when I used to shoot the Conquest, and I've shot 37. So like 37, 39 right now is my favorite for a tournament bow. But for a hunting bow, I don't really like super short. I like more of a 32, 33 incher, maybe even 34. But if I had to do everything, 35 would be the number.
I'm in the same boat. I've run everything from the 28 to a 33-inch hunting. But, you know, if I was going to do both hunting and 3D, definitely a 35-inch. It's just the best of both worlds. For me on a hunting bow, I like the 33, 35-inch axle to axle. But as far as tournament goes, I'm shooting a 39-inch bow now. I've shot the 40-inch, so, you know, between the 37 and 39 is where I'd be comfortable.
I just thought about something that I was supposed to say about these arrows. Let me back up 2 clicks. We're supposed to say this to put it online. we're in no way sponsored by Black Eagle, or nor did we receive anything or compensation to say what we said. We just we sell them here in the shop. So
all the arrows that I shoot from Black Eagle, I bought out of my own pocket.
Right. Now, Black Eagle, if you're listening and you want to send us a couple packs,
yeah,
we won't argue. But I think we were supposed to say that to comply with some kind of something. But anyway, next question.
Let's see. This one comes in from a texter in 859. I'm getting a knock low tear through paper. What do I do?
I hate a knock low tear, but the simple thing is to raise your D loop or lower the wrist. But a lot of times that don't fix it, and it's more of a a cable problem. So it's just according to what bow you're shooting. You need to figure out first of all, see if your arrow's sitting level. You know what I mean? If it's sitting, funky, get it level. But then figure out which cable to twist to bring the knocking point up a little bit, which is ultimately just bringing it knock high, but usually that fixes it. But, the simple answer is move up your loop to the back end of the arrows coming up. But I don't like getting stuff out of square or very far out of level, so then you get into the cable twisting and that sort of thing. So, and different bows like different things. We've had a knock low a couple times, and for whatever reason, it was something rest related. We'd switch a rest and bullet hole, bullet hole, bullet hole. So check all that,
Now some bows just don't like some things. So
yeah, I've had bows, you take, say, a 350 spine arrow that's supposed to fit it, and it didn't like it, would not shoot it bullet hole. Flip to another arrow, bullet hole, bullet hole, bullet hole. Flip to another arrow, bullet hole. It's just, for whatever reason, they don't jive. But yeah, I mean, you could get into 100 things with a knock low tear, but first thing is make sure your arrow is level or slightly above level.
Mm-hmm. All right, next question. This is a good one, and we've had plenty of experience in the shop with this one.
Drunk people?
No. My bow locked up at full draw. How do I fix it home?
Oh, man.
And this is from a texter 423.
He didn't say what kind of bow?
He didn't say what bow. I'm just guessing. It's probably a Bowtech Elite or an Obsession, maybe. I don't know.
Fixing it at home is the hard part because we don't know what you got.
Yeah.
Like, there's a couple reasons a bow can lock, but the main reason is either you didn't have the draw stops on it or the cable jumped the draw stop. So if you're in a situation and you can figure it out and you know that the cable jumped the draw stop, then ultimately you need to pull it back and put a little pressure on it, have somebody remove the draw stop to get out of the way of the cable and let it down. Now, this is something somebody can get hurt with. Like, you don't want fingers in the cam. If you didn't put the draw stops on there, which we've seen people bring in before, and we had the one guy come rolling in with a bow at full draw in his wife's car.
Yep.
You want to get a press. That's the only option. It ain't like you go unclick it or nothing. You're going to have to put it in the press and manually unlock it. So my advice would be get to a press either way, because you don't want your fingers, somebody drawing a bow and you got your fingers all in it, because if something blows up and you lose a finger or two, that ain't going to be good.
No.
So that's probably one of the two things that happen. Get it in the press, be safe.
It could have been anything. We had one come in the shop, the guy drew it back, and it jumped the draw stop.
Yeah.
And draw stops were on it and everything. But for some reason, I think it was a wrong module or something.
I remember back early 2000s in old Hoyt, a guy had a little bitty draw stop, and he pulled hard into the wall, and it jumped in the range, and he just come in there toting it and was like, I don't know what happened. It's still at full draw. And I was like, whoa, give me that bow. Like, I freaked, and I got that thing in the press. I mean, you couldn't have blinked any quicker, but it happens occasionally. I seen a bow one time recently. The cam was so out of whack. The bottom cam wasn't shimmed right, and I don't know. I think it was an Archery Talk special, but it was so far leaned over that the cable was just barely hitting the end of the draw stop. So if he'd have pulled into that wall very hard, it would have popped right around it. You know what I mean? So anyway, be careful.
But most of the bows now have
like an anti-draw lockup. That's good. That's real good. Like, Obsession's a good example. They got that to where if you were to forget or if it were to something happen, it's going to still hit a stop before it rolls that cam on around and locks.
So, yeah, I hate to say it, don't fix it at home. I think that's just an accident waiting to happen.
Unless you got a press.
Yeah, unless you got a press.
Agreed.
All right. Next question comes in from a Facebook. Should I square my arrows?
I do. So squaring arrows means after you cut them, sometimes there's like a little burr or whatever just from the saw. The best tool I've found, for the most part, G5 makes that arrow squaring tool, and I want to say it's around $40. That's what we got here. And you just lay the arrow in it, put it up against that little, I guess you'd call it a blade, but you spin it. I've seen some on Archery Talk for about $20, and I think ultimately you just slide a piece of sandpaper there, slide it up against the sandpaper, and it works just as good. It's a 3D printed deal. I like doing it. I mean, it's not that the arrow's not going to be square. It's just I feel like the insert's going to seat better, or the tip, and everything's good to go if you do that. So I like to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much a standard that, if we cut arrows at the shop, and, we always make sure everything, if there's a burr, we hit it. But I agree, it don't take no longer to take and spin it a couple times, make sure it's square, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Next question comes in from Instagram. Blade versus drop away for 3D.
It's a good one. I was blade for a blade and shot a blade for 3 or 4, well, probably longer than that, but for a while. And then I had read, I don't remember who wrote it, some pro did this big bit of research. He had shot all these different yardages with a blade and then switched to the drop away or limb driven rest, and his conclusion was the drop away was slightly more forgiving. So I was like, a drop away would be a lot easier because you got to be smooth on the draw with that blade so it don't fling off, and it's just, you can bend it and this, that, and the other. So I went to the drop away a couple of years ago, to the Hamsky to be exact, and I've been happy with it. But it's preference. Either one's going to do a good job as long as you got the blade right. Like if you got a real big heavy arrow on it, you need like a backer blade so that it ain't like drooping all down, and vice versa. You don't need it too stiff to where it's like coming up and slapping the back of the arrow as it flies off of it and causes a mess. But I like the drop away stuff.
I do too. I'm running a Vapor Trail, one of the original Vapor Trails.
Mm-hmm.
To me, those limb-driven rests, I think it don't matter what model you got. They're super easy to tune, and once you get it tuned, you could sit there and if your cord comes, gets a little slack in it, you tighten it up, you're done. You don't have to mess with timing or anything.
Well, my first thing about the limb driver was like, you got this cord, what if it stretches, whatever, but it's so easy to just reach up there and you tug it down, especially with the Hamsky Trinities we played with. They've got a new little, almost like a tent rope thing where you just pull it down. You don't even have to loosen a screw or nothing, and it tightens it up. So, like, there's little that's going to happen and screw it up. With the one that's stuck in the cable, there's also little that's going to happen, but I have seen some of them, the cord stretch a little bit. You start getting some rest clearance issues, or the cord frays up and you got to replace it or whatever. But anyway, either one.
As far as a blade versus a drop away, we both run blades. We still running drop aways to, limb driven versus cable. It's just personal preference. For me, with the blade, it's still, you're still making contact, so a little bit of hand torque, you're going to see it. And, you can still get that hand torque. Your air be kicked a little bit, and you're like, man, I made a perfect shot, but my air's kicked. Well, you got a little bit of wrist torque or hand torque in it, and even with drop-aways, you're still going to get that, but it doesn't show up. It's not as prevalent as it is off of a blade, in my opinion.
Yeah. The blade, you just got to have it set up right. There's not a whole lot to it, but you got to know what's going on. All
right. Our next question is a Facebook, and are colored strings thicker than neutral colors?
Absolutely. Colored strings, especially bright colors, flow orange, flow yellow, they got a lot of wax. However they dye 'em at the factory and all must do something, but if you were to mic that versus like a a white string in particular, because like natural or white really don't have anything in it. There is a difference. So if you're worried about, diameter or how much wax is in one or that type of thing, we like when we make them. And speaking of strings, somebody messaged me a while ago and was like, hey, can y'all do sort of a podcast and do a rundown of your strings and all that info? And we will. We might do it next week or the next week, because we could just do the whole. Actually, we might. Maybe we should just tell them, if you got any string questions, send them in, because in the next 2 weeks we'll do a podcast just about bow strings.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, they're thicker. Between the dyes and the waxes and all the stuff that goes into that, they are thicker. I don't have an exact number to give you, but it's according to what you're comparing it to. White or natural is at the absolute thinnest. Flow orange, flow yellow is probably the thickest. Flow greens can be bad, but not as bad as those two. And then like browns and blacks and all that, they just have a little bit of wax usually. Mm-hmm. But when we make them, we go through them and burnish them and try to get a lot of that excess wax out even before we twist them to try to make it stable. But we'll talk about that in that podcast.
Yep. So our next question comes from a texter in a 958. Can you explain Mathews top hats?
Yep. So I really like the system. Mathews top hats, on one of my videos, if you'll go back a month or 3 or longer, I swapped out top hats on something and I showed them. But Mathews top hats is their way of shimming a bow. The top hat actually inserts into the limb as one piece, which I really like. It's not a bunch of crazy shims that's going to fall all over the floor. They make a couple different sizes, but on just a few occasions we've had a bow that acted all quirky, and I went to the top limb, flipped the top hats, and boom, it would bullet hole. So it's probably had something to do with deflections or who knows what, but ultimately it's just a one-piece thing that slides into the limb, and then it flares out. That's why they call it a top hat. It looks like a top hat, and then it's 30 thousandths or 50 or whatever they are, and one side's thicker than the other, so you can flip them. And now they make kits with different sizes, which we hadn't really had to have one, but we're going to order some just to have here in case. But it's their way of shimming. It's one piece, nice. I really like the way they did it. Check out one of the tuning videos I did on a Mathews. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head which one. If you go back through our videos, I swapped them out or did something, and I remember we zoomed in on it and I showed this is what it is.
I think it was a Triax.
That might be it.
But our next question comes from, I'm going to say, a YouTube viewer. Is there any advantage of a slide bar versus a sight like a Fast Eddie or Black Gold Accent Verdict?
Not really, except for one thing, and that is the micro adjustability of it. Like we're both shooting right now Excel slide bars, and I don't remember how much a click moves it, but they are super duper 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 precise on those clicks. When you think of more of that other type of sight, it's more of a gang adjustment, but at the same time, most of the time when we're shooting 3D, I'm using that button and just sliding the whole thing up and down, because we got a sight tape, and you'd have a sight tape, say, on a Fast Eddie, and so honestly, I don't think that it really matters.
Well, I don't know if he's talking about for a tournament sight, or if he's I'm assuming with the Fast Eddie and the Black Gold Accent, he's more or less talking about a hunting sight.
Yeah. Well, if I was hunting, and I know people have shot slide bars hunting, but you don't want stuff clicking hunting, because them slide bars are.
Yeah.
You want it just smooth, fluid movement, but either one's going to put you right on the dot,
Yeah.
And either one of them can have a scope or a lens or a whatever you want, light, whatever. So there's not much difference anymore, other than if you want that little super duper precise clicking.
Yeah. If you're hunting, I would recommend not running a slide bar just for the clicks. And plus, for you to go from like 21 yards to 26 yards, you're going to have to crank it pretty good.
Oh, yeah. That'd be a mess.
Like on your Fast Eddies or your Accent Verdict, you reach up and you can give that knob just one good turn and you're right where you need to be. So that's the only advantage of a Fast Eddie or Accent, is more or less for the hunting side. No audible clicks.
Yep.
But if you're shooting tournaments where you don't need to worry about sound, then I would go with a slide bar with, that micro tunability to it.
Agreed.
As far as I know, that's all I've got on the questions.
The questions. Thank y'all for sending them in. If you have questions, you can get a hold of us a couple ways. archeryshack@gmail.com. The easiest way, if you're watching on YouTube, is just comment on YouTube. You can text us at 843-560-9898. You can call us at the shop, 864-735-8484. What else? That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
So the YouTube comment, if you're watching on YouTube and not just listening on a podcast, it's probably the easiest way. But whatever floats your boat. And like I say, if you got bowstring questions, throw those at us. We might give it 2 weeks, or we might do it next week. I don't know, but we'll do a big bowstring thing with questions and answers and how we make them. If you're not local or you hadn't kept up, we do make a good number of bowstrings here for local people, and we ship them in the whole 9 yards. We have people ship in bows, and we ship out bowstrings, and so we got about 6 of us that does that. So anyway, we'll chat on that then. But thank you for the questions. I really like the questions because it kind of gives us something to talk about instead of just hee-hawing around.
But do we have any cool stories this week?
Well, we had a 3D shoot today. It's TJ's birthday. Today is TJ's. Tell him happy birthday in the comments. We already put it on Facebook and all that. Got him a cake with a bear on it. Not necessarily because he's a bear hunter, but it was the only outdoor-related cake they had at Sam's, is what John said.
But it was good, though.
We had somebody bring in donuts and all kind of good stuff. So it's TJ's birthday. Wish him a happy belated birthday in the comments. We had a 3D shoot today. Had a good turnout. First one of the year. It's January here. It was a little chilly, a little more windy than I like, but it was in the low 50s. We put out 20 targets. We had some new targets from the ATA show. We had like an armadillo and a freaking skunk and all kind of stuff, and they were kind of small. I was curious to see what people would say. Put 2 targets out. We got a wolf we put behind 2 trees, and all you could see was the vitals. People seemed to like it. I was worried we'd have some bitching, but
I think the only one I really heard of anybody, there was 2, the armadillo and the what was it, the antelope or the spike that you had to shoot through the fallen trees.
Yeah, like 3 trees fell, and there's just a little gap. You had to shoot through them to get to it. I thought it was neat. The armadillo is funny because it's got a full-size 10 and 12 ring on the little target. So it's, in other words, it's the same as if you were shooting a full-size deer target or the armadillo. It don't matter. It's the same size rings, and people were missing that thing. One guy come in after we didn't have about 20 people come through about lunchtime. He said, I don't think I seen but about 4 or 5 arrows that had been stuck in it. He said, there's arrows everywhere out there. He said, it's like Vietnam, but with bows and arrows. I was like, good Lord. But the American Indian War. So anyway, we had a good time, had a good crowd. Thank y'all for coming. If you're listening, we're going to do another one February 22nd. I'll get some stuff together and start promoting it. I'm sure if you follow us, you've seen I've been dumping crap all week saying, come shoot, come shoot, come shoot. But it worked because we had a good turnout.
We have a lot of fun when we do it. And we actually, we don't get to shoot with a lot of people just the way our schedule runs. So we don't get to shoot with a lot of the people. So this is also a way for us to, for local people that come in that we haven't seen.
Yeah.
Well,
like today, we were going to try to shoot, but there's another shoot tomorrow, local shoot about an hour away. I didn't even have a sight tape on my bow, and then TJ hadn't shot his bow and got his settled in, or his sight tape verified, whatever you want to call it. So we did get to run out there for 30 minutes and do that when we had a little lull after lunch for a second, but I was hoping to shoot here today just for the fun of it, but it didn't happen. Maybe we can leave them out and do it first of the week.
Yeah. Just we'll see how tomorrow goes.
But it was good. Had a lot of kids come through. Several people, first 3D shoot ever, came, and I always like to hear that. And they all said they had a good time. And we gave away $100. Brad Poor won it to the high score. Overall high score won $100, and then we got trophies ordered for everybody else. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. We'll probably do something similar. I always try to think of, like, what's something, of course we can't like give away $1,000 bow unless we had like hundreds of people coming, but what's something big that would lure a crowd?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, if we give this away, I'm thinking about giving a 3D target away for the next shoot. You know, this around $120 value, because I mean that'd be something I'd want to win.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you get some little different, like a release or something like that, and it's like, well, they may or may not want that, or arrows or whatever. Well, they may be happy with it. So I think a 3D target. Everybody wants a 3D target. We might do that next time. And I've looked into stuff like custom engraved knives and belt buckles, but man, them things are high for a decent one. So.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
I would like to have a belt buckle, but you know.
I won. It's actually up here. I don't. You can see it in the video. I won an indoor shoot at Kiwi Bowman a couple years ago, and they gave me a Kiwi Bowman belt buckle, and it is sharp. But I've looked and tried to find them for us to order, like for maybe a big shoot. I mean, they're like $50 to $80 for a cheap one, a piece, you know, custom made, and that's for like a junky looking one. So I don't know how in the world. I don't know. That'd be a lot of money to give out a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
We'd lose money.
Yeah.
But I had a good time. Everybody just left right before we started this podcast. And had a good, like everybody, a lot of bow hunter class people, several open class, a lot of kids came there at the end. Need to bump up our ladies a little bit. But other than that, I know it was cold. I mean, they probably want to get out. But we'll keep promoting. Yep. But, yeah, good time. Good time.
I don't think anything too crazy happened this week at the shop. Do you remember anything? I don't remember anything sticking out.
Well, no, because it was last week when we had the Bowtech cam story.
Yep.
If somebody tried to press a bow by sticking a freaking screwdriver in the cam, and it kaboom! It's back there in a bomb-proof case. They had to order cams because it screwed the cams up, the strings up. The whole 9 yards,
yep.
And they ended up paying like $300 for 2 cams, and we're not a Bowtech dealer, so they had to order them elsewhere. And I mean, I told them we'd be happy to put them on because we already got them a string on the list, but not a good situation.
No, it's not. Well, I'm gonna throw out 2 questions this week. Since you know we had our first 3D of the year, shoot of the year, and you know $100 to overall high score. What does, you know, if you shoot a local tournament at a shop or something like that, what would be like, okay, so we gave away $100 today, but what other incentive or would you like to see a shop do?
Agreed. I'd be curious to know this too.
Because
cash is always cool.
Yeah.
But like, remember like 2015 or 14, we did one, and I gave something away to every place, first through third, like, we gave away a 3D target. We gave away arrows, broadheads, wrist slings, stabilizers, the whole 9 yards, and we had a great turnout.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of feel bad because it's like, you know, you got third place, here's a $20 wrist sling, and that's a cool prize. But again, if you've already got one or you don't like the color or whatever, it just, you know, I don't know. But yeah, that's a good question.
But, you know, just, you know, and if you shoot at a shop or local, you know, a local course, and they do something like, hey, here's what our club does or our local shop does.
The only cool thing I've ever heard was somebody said they went to a shoot and they gave away first, second, third place engraved knives, like a real nice one, not a real nice, you know, a normal size good one for first, and it got cheaper and cheaper. But I've looked into that, and unless you get some China crap that's overpriced, you just can't find it. And that might be what they got, but that would be neat.
Yeah. So just, you know, send us some feedback on that. Let us know what you would like to see a shop, you know, try to offer as a prize for, you know, first, well, like an overall high score today. And then the second question is, what is your, when I say your, I'm talking to everybody out there, what's your deciding factor when you're purchasing new archery products, like, or archery accessories, like a new sight or a new rest? Or do you just go by with what the shop tells you, or are you doing research online, just seeing what's out there and then going and looking at it and playing with it? But, you know, what's the deciding factor in you making that purchase?
Here's what I'm going to give 2 cents real quick, and I think most people look online, but I also think if they got a shop within 10, 15 minutes of them and it's in stock and they're going to be in that area, I feel like they'll go buy it. You know what I mean? Like, I know of shops out in the middle of nowhere with a lot of inventory, and they sell a lot of stuff. And I'm the same way. Like, I'm gonna just use Walmart as an example, and Walmart is not a good example because Walmart's killing everybody to a certain extent. But like, I know I can get something off Amazon in 2 days, but if I know I can ride 10 minutes down the road and grab it at Walmart for about the same price, even if it's a hair more, I'm gonna run to Walmart. You know what I mean? But I'm curious, like you say, is it more internet based, or is it you'd rather go to the local shop and handle it?
As far as that, I would, if a shop has it in stock, I'm going to make a trip to the shop and look at it. That way I can at least lay eyes on it in person. I mean, I can get on Amazon or anything like that and say, well, this, I sure would like to have it to look at it.
The only thing that kills me, and we've seen it every now and then, somebody will come in,
look at it,
and then go order it off freaking eBay or Amazon and save $2. I mean, come on now. We're a small shop, but there are thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of inventory in here. It kills me for somebody to come do that. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess the worst they could do, and I know other people would probably disagree, but the worst they could do is say, hey, I can get this off Amazon for $2 cheaper, and can you match it or something? And a lot of times we might not be able to, but at least we got I don't know. It just, to me, it's rude to go look at it and then walk out the door and order it from somewhere else, because whoever you looked at it's got the money invested and tied up in it. Now, I mean, I ain't saying that if we got something and it's $100 more, yeah, I mean, you're probably going to order it offline, but I'm just, in general. And that don't happen much here.
No,
but I've seen it a few times, and it just, I don't know, it sucks.
Well, and the other thing, too, is normally if you buy a new sight or a new rest or any, an accessory at your local shop or a pro shop, normally if you buy it from them, they're not going to charge you anything to put it on.
Right. And and another thing, like, almost anybody walks in and needs something simple done.
Yeah.
We don't charge anything. Like, I need a peep tied in real quick, or I need just something. I mean, of course, we got to, like, put it in the press and do 100 things. We want to charge a few bucks, but there's a lot of stuff we're just like, don't worry about it, buddy. Especially if it's a customer that we know that comes in here and spends money. There's a lot of stuff we don't charge for.
Well, and it's also one of them, too. If you walk into a shop, and like today, a guy, he needed his peep sight tied in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, ended up, I had to flip his peep, and he wanted us to run the had a QAD, so we had to run the cord through the cable. He had the football clamp on there. It took probably 10 minutes total, tied his peep, flipped his peep, tied it in, timed his wrist. I handed him the bow back, and he's like, well, how much do I owe you? I said, you don't owe us nothing. I was like, it took me 5 minutes, and you're good. He's like, no, I owe you something. I was like, no. I said, because by us extending that branch, then, that customer is more than likely going to come back when he needs something.
Right. And that's the whole plan behind it. I mean, it's a whole podcast. Like, I mean, we can't give away everything because we got bills to pay and power bills and people to pay and that type of thing. But at the same time, like he said, if it's something simple, we usually just say, don't worry about it, buddy. And we hope they come back. But
yeah.
And it usually works out that way. So let's talk about one last thing. We've talked about it a lot in the shop this week. People's come in that pay attention to the podcast. Bow Junkie did a podcast with Levi Morgan, and they talked about they didn't agree that all shooters.
Before you go any further,
give them the disclaimer.
Disclaimer. These are our opinions, and nothing else.
Right.
So
we've done a few things before on YouTube, and we've said I won't go into it, but we've said this exact same thing, and then we get our ass chewed, and it goes all over the place because they said this. Well, if you just listen to the whole thing, but anyway,
this is our opinions, nothing else.
What he said. The podcast said pretty much they went into this thing about everybody shouldn't have a shooter shirt unless they're like a pro. And that's the gist everybody got from it. Of all the people who's come in and brought it up this week, and there's more people than I thought listening to that podcast. Everybody was pissed off and said, well, why? And I disagree. Now, let me back up. I rarely wear any kind of shooter shirt. Rarely. And if we go to an ASA shoot, you got to wear a collared shirt. There's companies like Prime, for example. with my bow, they sent me a shooter shirt. The rep brings in a shooter shirt. That type of thing, I'll wear one of those because I got to wear a collared shirt and I'm at an ASA shoot and I'm repping the brand that we sell. I don't think they were aiming that at us in particular. I think they're just saying average Joe shouldn't be out there with a shooter shirt on, and I still disagree with that. If I owned
Let's go back one before you go any further.
All right.
We are not sponsored or by Prime or any. If you like Excel, AAE, Black Eagle.
Nobody.
We are sponsored by nobody. We do not get paid for any products.
We got products we sell.
Yeah, but we do not get paid for shooting that product. It's just personal preference.
If I'm a bow manufacturer, I would want my name. Mathews is a good example. Go to one of these shoots and look at all the Mathews shirts. I'd want my logo on as many people as possible. That's the end of the story. You know?
I hate to say it, free advertisement.
Exactly. And you see so many like Mathews shirts, and we don't sell Mathews here, but I'm just using an example. You see so many Mathews shirts that you start thinking, man, maybe there's something to that. There's so many people shooting them. And it could be 100 things. Maybe it's because people love Mathews bows. Maybe it's because a lot of the pros shoot them and they like that bow because a certain pro shoots it. It could be 100 different things. But I just didn't agree with the whole, if you're not a pro, you shouldn't have one of those shirts on with a sponsored product on it. And it all stemmed from a company, Boning Vanes, gave out free shooter shirts. They said on social media, if you're at this shoot, I don't remember which one now, stop by our booth. If you're shooting our Vanes, we got so many free shooter shirts, we're going to give you one. And everybody got their panties in a wad. So I disagree. We've got, I don't know, I could go in 100 things, but I mean, there's people that can't even hit half the targets I've seen wearing shooter shirts, and that's fine. I mean, part of you's like, they look the part, but they obviously can't shoot, but who cares? You know what I mean? They're happy. They feel like they're repping the brand or being an ambassador or whatever. We've made Archeryshack shooter shirts. We've sold them. We've gave them out, whatever. We've got a bunch of those out. Like I said, I own this shop, and I know it's a little different than being a manufacturer like a bow company. I'd love to see the Archeryshack on every shirt ever made, you know what I mean, because it just helps me out. I just thought that was sort of weird. And there's been all kind of crap I've seen. I know most people don't even pay attention to it, but I just thought we ought to chat about it for a minute because I thought it was crazy.
I mean, I really don't have a dog in a fight in a jersey. I mean,
I was always against the jersey because I was like, you don't want somebody looking fancy just because they bought a jersey, but then, like, I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't care what you wear. I don't care if you got a T-shirt on, if you're naked, well, we probably don't want to see all that.
Don't go there.
You know, a shooter shirt, whatever. And I always, through the years, thought it was funny. Oh, so-and-so's got look at that shooter shirt they got on. They can't even hit the deer. But who cares? Like I said, in their head, they're happy. Let them be happy. Let's grow the archery people. It don't matter if they want to wear a shooter shirt, shoot a certain bow, an arrow, whatever. Who cares? It's not a big deal. And as somebody put on there, people need to quit stirring the pot about stupid shit. But anyway.
Look, I mean, I got my prime bow last year that I bought with my own money. And I bought a prime shirt, a jersey. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have pro staff. It doesn't have factory staff. Right. All it is a prime jersey that anybody can go on Prime and G5's website and order. Nothing special. Do I wear it? Occasionally. I don't wear it a whole lot.
I might have seen you wear it once. And that's the other thing. Now, if you're going around and it says pro staff on it,
that's a different story.
Yeah, I disagree with that. I mean, you're pushing the boundary there. I mean, that's stupid. But just wearing a branded shooter shirt, no problem. And probably most people listening to this have no clue, but they were going off on it on everywhere. I've seen it all over Facebook. Several people that we shoot with came in ranting and raving and pretty much said the same thing we said. And then we listened to it, and I was like, good Lord.
I mean, and,
it's not even worth arguing about.
No. And like I said, this is just our opinions. So, we don't want any hate mail, but, it's just our opinions. And it's a hot topic right now in the archery world. Yeah.
It'll be dead next week. Yeah. But anyway.
Personally, if you shoot if a local shop sponsors you, that's great.
Yeah.
But if you go to your archery shop and say, hey, look, would it be okay if you ordered me a shirt with your, let me rep your shop?
Yeah. Yep.
That shop is not going to tell you no.
Right.
And I mean, now if you go in and begging for the shop to pay for the shirt, now that might be a different story.
Yeah.
But if you go in and say, hey, look, I've come in here all the time. Could I please get a shirt? I'll pay for it.
Yeah, I shoot all these shoots. I'd like to represent they'll give you something, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
Or not even give, like you said, pay for it, whatever. Just show them you're supporting them. One more thing we hadn't talked about. As we do this podcast, the Lancaster Classic is happening. We've been watching it, trying to watch some of it all day as we run back and forth between people shooting and bows being brought in and all this, but pretty cool. It'll be on YouTube. It won't be live, of course, but all the videos will be on YouTube. Get on there and check it out. You can look at a ton of different stuff. I mean, there's bow hunting people shooting. Look at their setup. There's open class tournament people. Look at their setup. This is fun to watch. The recurve people are fun to watch.
Yeah, they are.
Get on there and check it out. It helps support. And then in a couple of weeks, we got the Vegas shoot out in Las Vegas. There'll be like 4,000 people there. Watch it. It'll be on as live 24/7. You said they were going to go.
I seen it on Facebook, something about they had a live 24/7 channel, but I didn't get to read into it. I seen something about where it was going to be in the hotel. What's the hotel they're at?
The South Point Hotel and Casino.
So, but be interested to. There was a lot of big names that we had heard that got bumped out today on the shoot-ups or the shoot-offs. Yeah,
no joke. Like a lot of people I thought was going to make it didn't. Tomorrow, which would be Sunday for us, we're recording this on Saturday. Like the big boys shoot-offs will happen, so I got to watch that. Or maybe when we get done shooting, we're going to shoot. But anyway, thank y'all for listening. Make sure you go in the comments. First of all, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe.
Yep.
I think like 92% of the people that usually listen to this, it says they're not subscribed. So subscribe. We're at a little over 900 subscribers right now. We're trying to hit 1,000 so we can go live on a mobile device and start doing live videos. But subscribe, that's number 1. Hit the little bell, number 2. Number 3, go down into the comments. Wish this man a happy birthday. It'll be a couple days late. He'll still be happy about it. Something happened. I thought we lost signal for a minute. That's it. Thank y'all for listening. Let us know your bowstring questions and TJ's questions he asked.
Yep.
We'll keep on podcasting. If y'all keep on listening, it's been fun.
It's been real.
It's been real fun. We'll see y'all next week.
Later.